Hello, my friends. Welcome to the newest SJ Weekly. I feel like I owe you an explanation. I took up this project, the whole SJ Weeklies thing, because primarily I wanted to get something out on the channel regularly. At least one video a week, because these happen every Sunday. And I've kept to that so far. Through sickness and famine, I've kept to it. But you'll probably notice that the last video that I put up, not counting this current SJ Weekly, was last week's SJ Weekly. I was hoping that I'd be able to get at least one video out a week to break up the SJ Weeklies, whether it be a dumping with Scrump, or a dissecting a degenerate, or something that'll break up the two of them, so you'd at least get 2 videos a week. I think that's a fair upload schedule, 2 videos a week for this channel. And I haven't been able to do it. Not this week, anyway. In the last episode, I talked about making the Alex Jones video. But as it turns out, as I was writing it and as I was recording it, and then as I found more stuff and more things happened, and I re-recorded parts of it, it became a much bigger video. The scope increased by a fair amount. It's now called The Anti-Social Media, and it's basically a complete expose of all of the things that social media does wrong. And there's quite a bit of it. There's a lot to go over. Alex Jones might have been the catalyst, but it certainly wasn't the beginning, and it certainly isn't the end. So I think this is actually a very important video that I definitely want to get right. I'd say I'm about 2/3 done it, and you'll probably see it in the middle of the week. And people have been asking about the next Dumping with Scrump. Actually, I'm probably going to be recording it right after I'm done this, unless Scrump is off fucking traps or something. I'll be doing it this afternoon, so you'll probably see that a day or two after Anti-Social Media. So content's coming, guys. Thank you for being patient. Oh, and of course, we have to start the morning off, even though it's now 12:12 p.m. I woke up late today. We have to start the morning off with the coffee. It's good stuff today. I left the spoon in this time. There's a guy who wanted a coffee with a spoon in the mug. There it is. There's my spoon. So today, the coffee is with spoon. But let's get to the nonsense. To kick things off, here's an article that I had saved up, like the Alex Jones video and Anti-Social Media that it would eventually morph into. I ended up not using it in the video because it just didn't really fit, because this is more of a social media success story. And let's read it. MySpace Tom beat Facebook in the long run. Wouldn't you rather be a rich nobody than whatever Mark Zuckerberg is? And I guess the honest truth is yes. I mean, nobody cares about MySpace anymore, and nobody knows who runs MySpace. But he just, I assume, based on him being called a rich nobody, I assume he paid out, he got his money, and he just kind of fucked off and now enjoys his life privately. That is the ideal, isn't it? My MySpace profile was abandoned when, at the ripe age of 18, I decided it was just a little too juvenile. The glittering GIFs affixed to every page, the garish custom designs, the pressure on maintaining your top 8. By 2006, Facebook offered a cleaner social experience. By 2009, Twitter offered a more casual one. MySpace was a complete relic by this point, even though only a few years had passed since its launch. I do have a fondness for that old Web 1.0 glittery GIF era of the internet. It was very basic and very ugly, but sometimes you can go back and find old pages that still look like that, and sometimes it really brings back some old memories that are at least decent ones. And hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go back and watch like the very beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think it's the first Iron Man film was the beginning, right? Iron Man 1. When Tony Stark's in the vehicle with the soldiers and the soldiers like taking selfies with him with his phone, Tony Stark actually says, "Don't put this on your MySpace profile," because at that point, strangely enough, MySpace was bigger than Facebook. It's kind of a weird blast of the past. If you ever go back and watch the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe in order one day, you'll notice some strange things back there. Back in 2005, long before MySpace burned out, its founder, Tom Anderson, sold the site for $580 million to Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation. While his site was becoming a punchline during the rise of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the other social media networks we now use every day, Anderson disappeared entirely from the tech scene. Now he travels the world, documenting his visits to exotic locations. Sounds like he did good for himself. He knew exactly when it was right to cash out. Contrast that with what's currently happening to Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, who's on day 2 of being grilled by a Senate committee for Facebook's role in haphazardly collecting all of our personal data and possibly swinging the 2016 presidential election towards Donald Trump. What was supposed to be a basic networking tool has now become one of the chief mediators of how people interact with each other and the world around them, and how information is absorbed and disseminated on the internet. It's now apparent that Facebook and Zuckerberg didn't really consider any of this when aggressively pursuing growth, and now we're all screwed as we try to untangle the consequences. I actually have a lot to say on this topic in my upcoming video, and you'll have to wait to see it then. However, I will say this, despite Facebook's obviously left-leaning slant, they did have a major role in swinging the election towards Donald Trump. I think there's enough evidence to show that, and also there's enough evidence to show that Facebook has no moral compass aside from growing itself. And you'll have to see the video. You'll have to watch it. MySpace Tom, his most recent Instagram post from 7 days ago, is a giveaway for a stay at an Iceland hotel. He doesn't have to issue any terse statements about his company's commitment to fostering a healthy society. He doesn't have to sit on a booster seat for 7 hours and take dipshit questions from a procession of Senate ghouls. He isn't worth as much money as Zuckerberg, of course, but unless you're an oil baron, $580 million is enough to tide you over for the length of your lifetime, and your children's lifetime, and your children's children's lifetime, and so on, even after taxes. And yes, being that rich is good for nobody, but without getting into an argument about the perils of capitalism, we can agree that, personally speaking, Anderson is having a much better go of things. Yeah, I'd say so too. And it's not even because he cashed out, though cashing out was obviously the right thing to do. It's because Zuckerberg either didn't have a dream or a goal or a passion to begin with, or it was the wrong passion, it was like one that served some kind of evil purpose, or he lost sight of it. In any case, Zuckerberg is now literally the alien that everyone thinks he is. But speaking of people not understanding the situation that they're in, someone vandalized Burnaby's Rainbow Crosswalk. Hold on, read the tagline here. Someone painted a green question mark and a cloud on Burnaby's first Rainbow Crosswalk overnight. The crosswalk was installed Thursday by the city of Burnaby in anticipation of Burnaby Pride event on Saturday. Now, I don't know if this is a cloud, guys. I don't know if you recognize the symbol here. I don't While the crosswalk will be repaired in time for tomorrow's Pride Street party, McGowan said the vandalism is a good reminder of the work that still needs to be done to ensure the LGBTQ2S plus community feels welcome and safe in Burnaby. Okay, this is an example of the internet leaking into real life. And I think this is not a slur. This is not like some kind of anti-gay individual spray painting something that like an obvious anti-gay slogan or slur or image. This was a fucking meme, and you got memed on. But speaking of ridiculous things leaking over into reality, millennial couple bikes near ISIS territory thinking humans are kind and gets killed. Evil is a make-believe concept we've invented to deal with the complexities of fellow humans. An idealistic young American couple was killed in an Islamic State-claimed terrorist attack last month while on a cycling trip around the world. I mean, obviously you have to be sad because people died, but there has to be some kind of Darwin Award situation involved in this, right? Like, you can't simply think that all humans are the same, everyone's just fine, and that you can just go out into the world with, like, waving a flag of peace, and then someone's not going to eventually come and kill you. It's a ridiculous notion. I mean, these two, as sad as it is, they were complete fucking idiots. Jay Austen and Lauren Jahaganan, both 29, last year quit their office jobs in Washington, D.C. to embark on their journey. I've grown tired of spending my best hours of my day in front of a glowing rectangle of coloring the best years of my life in swaths of gray and beige, Austen wrote on his blog before he quit. I've missed too many sunsets while my back was turned, too many thunderstorms when unwatched, too many gentle breezes unnoticed. And you know what? I actually agree with him there, you know? since I've started doing this channel full time, I am actually able to catch more of those things, and it's quite nice. You read the papers, and you're led to believe that the world is a big, scary place. People, the narrative goes, are not to be trusted. People are bad. People are evil. I don't buy it. Evil is a make-believe concept we've invented to deal with the complexities of fellow humans holding values and beliefs and perspectives different than our own. By and large, humans are kind. Self-interested sometimes, myopic sometimes, but kind. Generous and wonderful and kind. That's all true. What is equally true is that sometimes humans will hold values and beliefs and perspectives that require them to kill you. You know, kill the kafir wherever you find him. I'm sure there is obviously a good side to even the worst supporters of ISIS, because that is just the nature of humanity. But the good side isn't what you need to be focused on. However, their dream trip came to a tragic and a gruesome end when they got to Tajikistan, a weak state with a known terrorist threat that shares a border with Afghanistan, where ISIS and other terrorist groups are highly active. They were riding their bikes through the country on July 29th when a car rammed them, according to CBS News. 5 men got out of the car and stabbed the couple to death along with 2 other cyclists, one from Switzerland and the other from the Netherlands. 2 days later, ISIS released a video showing the same men sitting in front of the group's black flag. They looked at the camera and vowed to kill disbelievers. I mean, there you go. Like, I'm sure those 5 men probably have some goodness in them, but that goodness didn't stop them from stabbing these people to death. Some conservatives have framed the tragedy as a cautionary tale about not just the perils of travel, but also naivete in general. I mean, traveling generally isn't that dangerous. Of course, it all depends on where you go. But yeah, being naive is very dangerous. Some liberals, for their part, view Austin and Gahaganan as simply unfortunate. Experts on the region told the Washington Post, Central Asia generally is fairly safe. Yeah, I don't fucking buy that for 1 second. But speaking of the radical left having a very disconnected view of reality, here's an article by Holly Brockwell of Gadget. Men, women gamers are not trying to get in your pants, they just want to play. And she wrote this for Metro UK, presumably because her own outlet, Gadget, is actually quite small right now. Now I actually somewhat know Holly. She's a friend of a friend. And I've learned, I haven't really spoken to her, but I've learned a lot through this friend of a friend of what she's really like. And apparently she's actually not an insane leftist. She just virtue signals a whole bunch, and she's in fact made a career on virtue signaling. However, there have been some things where I would definitely have sided with her in the past, like she had to fight the NHS a lot over in the UK in order to get sterilized because she doesn't want children. And I think that that is a travesty. Despite what you may think about whether or not people should be having kids, I think we can all agree that people should have the self-determination to control their life. And if she doesn't want kids, you may think that that's a mistake, but that's her right. She may come to regret it, but that's her responsibility, not anybody else's. She may not. She may know what she wants. And you know what? Once you're of age, once you're 18, that's that. You know, you make your own decisions and take responsibility for those decisions. The government should not be stepping in to stop them. But that's just my rant on sterilization. Let's actually get to Holly's article here. This week, prominent games streamer Ninja stated that he won't game with women in case it causes problems in his marriage, and female gamers everywhere rolled their eyes. Now, I reported on this last week, if you remember. And I think what Holly's missing here is that it was never about the other women. It was about what his community would think regarding him streaming with other women. It was never about the woman. I mean, presumably he knows if he's going to cheat on his wife or not, right? And presumably the woman would know if she's interested in him. But it's not about them. It's about his community. He has a huge community, and internet communities of that size are likely to just, you know, slap couples together and start shipping them whether or not it's actually true. And I think he just wanted to avoid that. It was about public perception, not women. To be fair to Ninja, he does seem to know this, but he's still wrong because his solution isn't to re-educate the men, it's to ban the women. One, Ninja has no obligation to tell his fans what to think. And 2, Ninja has no obligation to have people on his stream that he doesn't want to have on his stream. And that's that. It's not that he's banning the women, it's that he's banning everyone he fucking likes. I said this last week, but just because he has a large platform does not mean that there's any kind of moral imperative to push your politics or your point of view on it. This is particularly disappointing because with his platform, Ninja is in a perfect position to make a real positive difference to the still depressingly sexist world of Twitch streaming. You know what? Maybe. But he is under no requirement to do so. He's there to stream games. He's not there to change the world. He's not there to do what you think is morally correct. Can you imagine if anyone came into your gaming group and was like, yo, you gotta add some women to this, regardless of the dynamics of the group, regardless of the skill of the women involved, regardless of any of these things that may actually destroy the gaming group, whether it's Fortnite or any other kind of game, or like a tabletop situation or whatever. You just gotta add some women in there to make it 50-50 parity. You just have to. And then you just like fuck your group up. That would be ridiculous, right? But Ninja is the biggest Fortnite streamer in the world. He probably wants to have like a well-polished team. And I'm sure there are very good female Fortnite players out there, but he probably hasn't encountered one that would outweigh the risks of having your entire community go apeshit on you. All right? I don't think this is Ninja's fault here. If anything, like if you wanted to put blame on somebody, and I don't think anybody's to blame, but if you really wanted to blame somebody, I think it's his community's fault. And even then, you can't go to his community and be like, re-educate yourself, shitlords. Like, it's not going to work like that, all right? He does what he wants. His community does what they want. And that's that. Holly, you can't just be people's moral nannies. I mean, you didn't want kids, so how come you're trying to mother these people? And of course, there are some really trite things in this article, but in this case, it's pretty clear who can't see past the chromosomes. It's an X box, not an XY box, for goodness' sake. Well, you know what? You know what? It's a Game Boy, not a Game Girl. See, I can do it too. This is stupid. Let's move on. New Westminster terrorist attack as driver crashes into cyclist outside Parliament. For some reason, my fucking ad blocker stopped working. I had ad block installed. It was right up here. Now it's just not there anymore. Oops. The police have confirmed they are treating the incident as a terrorist incident, and the number of armed and unarmed police on the streets in central London will be increased. Okay, so I think we've all heard about this story before, right? There's some kind of truck of peace in the UK, ran some people over. Maybe someone gets stabbed, maybe someone gets shot. You know, it's just daily life in London right now. And the police are treating it as a terrorist incident. That's how it should be, but that's not the story that I'm covering. I'm covering this story. Trump tweets on London terrorist attack as investigation gets underway. President Donald Trump on Tuesday again seized on what he called a terrorist attack in London to call for tougher anti-terror measures, even though the incident was still in the early stages of investigation. The police themselves called it a fucking terrorist attack. This is not something you can attack Trump for. I think it's really telling that CNN, rather than reporting on what happened in the terrorist attack, rather than at the very least confirming that it was a terrorist attack because the police said it was in fact being treated as a terrorist attack, this article was written. And the article was about how wrong it was of Trump to tweet like it was a terrorist attack. And how wrong it was for Trump to seize the opportunity and say, oh, look at this latest terrorist attack in London. We need to increase security. Scoring ideological points against Trump is more important to CNN than reporting on a legit terrorist attack where people got killed. Don't forget that. This is what CNN is now.